Miraidon as well. So there are some options, but let's get into game one.
Yes, the classic lead of Urshifu and Incineroar for that guaranteed surging strikes, and the Rillaboom reveal though as well, alongside that Calyrex Shadow Rider on Lewis's end. It looks like a little snapshot from Regulation Set G, but we're definitely in Regulation Set I, and the stakes are very high right now in this top 4.
Okay, faster fake out should usually be from Rillaboom, but because we know that this is this quick cat, the fastest Incineroar you've ever seen, Intimidate activates before grassy terrain, and this already is something that, yeah, you're not used to playing against a fast Incineroar like this. Usually, if you have Rillaboom, you would expect fake out to be faster, so already something that Lewis has to kind of play around, but I'm sure that he is versatile enough with his plans to come up with something here. Rillaboom, of course, being threatened by a Flare Blitz as well, it could just be outsped, and that's something that Lewis has to keep in mind. Not only is Fake Out faster, but potentially also Flare Blitz would hit before U-turn.
That's a really good point, actually. So you've got to really watch out for that amount of damage that could come out. But we've got the opposing Incineroar from Lewis's end coming in instead to get a little bit of Intimidate damage down. So if a close combat comes out... Oh, my goodness. Okay, Surging Strike straight into what was that Calyrex Shadow Rider here. And a decent target for it too, but Incineroar is getting heavily punished for coming in at this point.
Yeah, Lewis wanted to make a repositional play, but no terrestrialization on Alexander. This could have been just a Psychic coming out from Lewis's Calyrex Shadow Rider to knock out Urshifu in one hit. But because Lewis understood the threat of potential terrestrialization from Urshifu, you don't exactly know how exactly is it trained. He's willing to switch an Incineroar, potentially lose it, but you would do a little bit of chip damage to Urshifu, and this is important. Now, Calyrex comes in, Urshifu cannot protect. And you don't really have any great switch-ins unless there's, like, I don't know, Grimmsnarl in the back. That wouldn't make so much sense for Alexander here, I feel like. So it might seem like a kind of bad turn of events for Lewis, but I think he was okay losing Incineroar like this, because now that allowed him to maybe go for Terrestrialization, Terra Dark, and go for a big attack this turn.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, but there is Grimmsnarl in the back.
There is Grimmsnarl in the back is not something you see every day there. Usually a great Pokemon to lead to the perfect switch-in that Alexander's made.
No terrestrialization either.
Yeah, so he's left it restricted at home as well. A great game plan that Alexander's come up with here. Little critical hit there, and the Life Orb chip.
What's it going to be from Incineroar? Oh, it's just a U-turn predicting Terra Dark. This could have been knockoff, but U-turn coming out. So yeah, Lewis's Calyrex lives to see another day, and Alexander, without taking that much damage on Grimmsnarl and Incineroar, gets to reposition, brings in Miraidon.
But we have not yet seen this Rillaboom go for an attack just yet, because we know it's that slower than the Incineroar here. So yeah, it is that U-turn as well. So Lewis is able to preserve the terrain advantage by having Rillaboom in the back, but it can be switched in yet again to reduce Miraidon's damage.
Yeah, now it feels like Lewis kind of has found his rhythm, as with this U-turn, now he's the one that gets to bring in Zamazenta, and having the faster Calyrex Shadow Rider, yeah, is threatening. Lewis might want to switch Rillaboom in to override the terrain again, but at the same time now Alexander, yeah, has to think about, okay, should I, I don't know, go for like a Thunder Wave into Zamazenta? Is he just going to protect Zamazenta as he's repositioning? And yeah, I don't think we will see a KO this next turn, but yeah, terrain control for now back in Lewis's favor.
So the Rillaboom's coming in on the Calyrex Shadow Rider slot here, so not going for that Terra Dark hit just yet. So Zamazenta likely isn't going to be able to take any sort of hit coming out from either of these targets at the moment.
Oh, Thunder Wave comes out, but it misses Zamazenta. That is big.
Absolutely a big one as well, as Heavy Slam just gets that one-hit KO. Grimmsnarl does nothing in this turn at all.
Wow, and how do you deal with Zamazenta now? That was a huge turn of events.
There's the Volt Switch, though, that goes into that Rillaboom, getting Alexander now the opportunity to switch her back in and get the terrain advantage instead here. But this means that either Incineroar comes in here or Urshifu, likely that Incineroar to get that Intimidate. You've got that Fake Out pressure as well, especially into the Rillaboom that can't protect too. And then you can bring in Urshifu at the same time and get that Fake Out plus Surging Strikes combination.
Absolutely, yeah, but like the damage is kind of already being done. Zamazenta outspeeds Miraidon, that's one important piece of information, but dodging the Thunder Wave means that Zamazenta now also will outspeed Urshifu still, and Urshifu, due to the Rocky Helmet chip damage from before, will be in range of another Body Press. So that means that right now, as both players have Fake Out active, if Urshifu comes in, you could kind of trade Fake Outs, and Zamazenta can just go for Body Press into Urshifu, and yeah, it's hard to see how to deal with that. If if Urshifu is in body press KO range, which looking at this range, maybe it's actually not. I mean, if this is like a super bulky Urshifu, it might be able to take a body press here. But yeah, if this KOs, I feel like Lewis is in a fantastic spot.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting right now, like especially with the fact that Alexander chose to leave their restricted at home, really kind of putting all the eggs in that Miraidon basket for this end game here. But it might rely on kind of winning that electric terrain war as well, making sure everything's faster. But yeah, that Calyrex Shadow Rider is always going to be faster instead. So there's that fake out into the Zamazenta, keeping that at least that Incineroar slightly safer, and the trading of the fake outs into that Urshifu too.
Yeah, trading fake outs, I think, pretty neutral turn. It will still come down to whether body press can KO, and with a grassy terrain recovery, I feel like, yeah, Urshifu pretty much at the same HP as before. You could try and switch in Miraidon into that slot, but yeah, then how do you deal damage to Zamazenta? We already got confirmation that it is faster than Miraidon, and because it's not paralyzed, yeah, being faster than Miraidon and Urshifu and threatening a ton of damage into all of them, yeah, Zamazenta feels like the final boss here for Lewis for now, and he still has Calyrex waiting in the back as well.
So Rillaboom, you can see, is kind of considering going for that Terrafire here, because that Incineroar does outspeed it, and so can kind of get a Flare Blitz off if it so wanted to. So if Lewis wants to try and prioritize KOing this Urshifu with a Grassy Glide, it wants to keep itself safe with that Terrafire. But then it's not being spent on either the Calyrex or that Zamazenta, which might want to take Electric type attack later on. So it's the hard switch in from Incineroar instead, straight into the Miraidon.
So this will be body press into Urshifu, and the question is, will that be enough for the knockout? If it knocks it out, then I feel like, yeah, Lewis kind of has this. But if it doesn't,
oh,
it's enough.
Okay, because that was probably a bulky Urshifu as well, given how slow it was. But yeah, it is enough. Instead, Gortrum is able to go for that U-turn though. Again, preserve that terrain advantage going into the future turns. Now having 3 up against 2. And that means Calyrex Shadow Rider can come in. Miraidon has to lock into a turn next turn, as well as go for that fake out, so it's a really safe double protect next turn.
Yeah, you could go for the double protect. You could also protect and switch in Rillaboom if you wanted. I feel like now Lewis has all the options, and this is the kind of position you want to play towards. Having more Pokemon left than your opponent allows you to reposition while they cannot reactivate those abilities that only activate on switch in, like Intimidate, like the electric terrain that is being set by Miraidon. And yeah, Lewis has found a way. I think definitely the Thunder Wave, dodging Thunder Wave definitely helped here in this first game. But yeah, he took what was handed to him and turned it into something great, into a great position. And now let's see if he can convert it.
Yeah, but that Thunder Wave kind of missing Zamazenta as well, really big too. It kind of takes away that complete option. And oh, it's just the forfeit as well for Alexander. So we saw that the writing on the wall for Alexander there. Lewis taking a commanding win in this top 4 set.
Yeah, just in one of the games we saw before, yeah, of course, missing an attack that was kind of like priced in your game plan. Like you were, like Alex was expecting, he was playing as if this Thunder Wave was hitting, but then losing that option for speed control meant that Zamazenta not only outspeeds Urshifu, but also outspeeds Miraidon. And yeah, there were just no good ways to hit body press. So going all the way back to the very first turn, where Urshifu over on Alexander's side got the one-hit KO on Incineroar, we were kind of discussing already, like, this might not be that bad. Like, it looks bad. I mean, like, having one Incineroar is better than having 0 Incineroar, right? But the little chip damage, and Lewis understood this, I think, the little chip damage from Rocky Helmet was exactly the chip that he needed on Urshifu of his opponent to put it in range of Astro Barrage, to put it in range of body press, and this is what we saw later on in the battle. So, yeah, really, really well done, identifying where do you need the damage, and identifying that, well, I'm okay giving up my full Incineroar for only like almost half HP of Urshifu.
I love that big, beautiful brain of yours, Marcus. That's pretty good. I love it. Okay.
Oh, it was Lewis who came up with that.
Well, you were able to identify it as well, though. So, Incineroar's a piece for this time, straight on in the lead, versus Calyrex Shadow Rider and Urshifu as well for Alexander too. So we've got the same leads for Alexander, but yes, maybe a slight little switch up here. Instead, no Rillaboom lead either for Lewis's end.
Yeah, Lewis is like, okay, well, if my Rillaboom is slower, then what's even the point? I might as well just go with my own Incineroar and have that Rocky Helmet on the field right away, potentially baiting Alexander into targeting that Calyrex slot, which could open up a switch into Rillaboom at this point, but I wonder if he was expecting some sort of switch up by Alexander, who goes back with the same lead though. And if this is some sort of fake out and Surging Strikes play again, like we were talking about, this could be big, but is it time for your secret weapon, for your special move? Helping Hand, Terra Dark, Astro Barrage.
Yeah, I think so. I think we saw that Helping Hand lock in there, unless it was a self fake out, which I don't think it's going to be. Yeah, there we go. That Helping Hand into that Calyrex Shadow Rider. This is going to be a lot of damage here. This is why we use that, folks. And yeah, to get around that fake out.
This could be big.
This is very big. There's not even an attack going into that Calyrex from that. Astro Barrage into that Urshifu. It's not Focus Sash. It goes down to that one KO. And that's a Grim Nay boost on that Calyrex Shadow Rider, meaning this Incineroar is now in range of another Astro Barrage without that Helping Hand.
Yeah, that is a huge turn for Lewis, a big risk, but it pays off. No fake out coming into that Pokemon, no knockoff either. Just clean knockout on Urshifu, and now, as you were saying before, Calyrex is immune to Thunder Wave from that prankster Grimmsnarl. Yeah, just another Helping Hand. Astro Barrage will knock out Incineroar and will do a ton of damage to Grimmsnarl as well.
The light screen is probably the only thing that can save it, at least at this point, right before the attack comes out here. So we'll see if that's enough to counteract the Helping Hand. Incineroar is able to survive there. A really crucial survival there based on the multiplier effects of both of these multipliers. So U-turn can go out into that Calyrex, does a little bit of chip damage, and this allows Alexander to at least breathe for a little bit whilst he repositions.
Yeah, Alexander is still in this, but yeah, we're expecting Miraidon to be the fourth and final Pokemon. There it is. And yeah, even if it doesn't KO, another Helping Hand, Astro Barrage, that would do so much damage.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. So that will potentially put it in range of, say, more priority moves or some faster threats that Lewis has in the back, say that Rillaboom.
However, one thing to definitely consider here for Lewis is, do you really want to go for another Helping Hand if you expect it not to KO?
Ooh, true.
Or is it maybe better to like protect and reposition, because you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself? Like, yes, this is a great opportunity, this is a great position, but maybe defensive and slow play is what the situation calls for.
Yeah, it's true. And when you're protecting, you're going to find out what this Miraidon wants to lock itself into as well. And it may very well be a Volt Switch, in which case it goes out of there anyway, and then you may want to change up your move plan from there. So yeah, as you predicted, Marcus, that protect from that Calyrex, not getting ahead of themselves, which I probably would have myself there. And there's the Volt Switch into Gortrum, so it can get out into that Incineroar here, which will come back in and then actually threaten a fake out into this now Dark-type Calyrex Shadow Rider, which won't be able to be immune to that flinching effect.
Yeah, it threatens a fake out and Spirit Break, which would be super effective and would do a ton of damage, maybe even knock out Calyrex from here, but because Rillaboom joined the field just now, it's also able to go for a fake out next turn. So this was Spirit Break into the Protect. Lewis, repositioning nicely, is saying that, yeah, I could win, or I could try and win right here, but I want to make sure that I don't let this opportunity go to waste, because being up 1-0, being in a commanding position, you really want to make the best plays possible to get that slot in the finals.
But yeah, now you have Fake Out on the board for both of these trainers at the same time, so we can see that Fake Out trade happen again. And so Gortrum's going to be able to keep that Calyrex safe here from that Spirit Break if that Fake Out goes into that Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, I think this might be another turn of just trading Fake Outs.
But have we seen the Terra yet? The Grimmsnarl could Terra Ghost and get around that Fake Out and potentially still Spirit Break into that slot.
Grimmsnarl could go for Terra Ghost. Yeah, that's a very good call. And maybe is also something that Lewis is considering, going into Incineroar for Intimidate just to lower the damage output. I don't know. Maybe Fake Out and Spirit Break could still KO Calyrex at this point, though.
Yeah, it could be really close, depending on the attack investment.
Oh, but it is into what was the Rillaboom slot.
Rillaboom as well, so perhaps projecting a switch out from this Calyrex, which just gets up another +1. Astro Barrage as well, KOing the Incineroar. Yet another Grim Nay boost, and still this Grimmsnarl is not able to get above much damage unless a Spirit Break comes out right now.
Yeah, if Alex wants to have any chance of winning this battle, this has to KO. Spirit Break into Calyrex Shadow, and it's not quite enough.
It's not quite enough at all, and still that Dark type is keeping it safe from that Thunder Wave. And we know this Calyrex is faster than that Miraidon as well, so it's just able to sit there. Incineroar's also coming on top of that and has a Fake Out turn.
Yeah, you can go for Fake Out, you can go for another Astro Barrage. It might not KO the Grimmsnarl, but Rillaboom is in the back, and Lewis Markl is so close to taking this game and making it to his very, very first finals at a major event.
Yeah, wow. Like, masterfully played. Like, we've talked about positioning of both of these teams as well. But yeah, there it is. The forfeit from Alexander there. And Lewis Markl advances to the final.
Well played. A match between friends, exchanging a hug there. I'm sure Alex would have loved the opportunity to fight for his first win as well.